Hello there, and welcome to Dr. T for today, November the 16th. This is the Wednesday Dr. T. And stage one, it looks scary and nasty. That boom cannon is as insane as it seems. But look at that. You can park your tanks out of range of everything and blow it all up, and you are laughing. If you're really, really low level, I don't know, you could try all Zookaing it and just shocking the two boom cannons. Hopefully that'll get you through it. Or just load up a load of tanks, run up there, blow it up, and then switch your troop out to whatever you normally use. Because even level 1 tanks would be able to beat that with no problem at all. Okie dokie. Stage 2, going up the left-hand side, I actually just kind of let the tanks roll. I didn't do anything. That's pretty much the grand scheme of it. I landed them, and you can see actually on the right hand side I have not selected a single gunboat ability. And yeah, my one tank kind of goes off all crazy like and starts picking fights with things. But what it comes down to is if you go up the left hand side, you got the win. You might have to blow up the sniper tower or whatever, put a little, you might have to flare and put some effort in if you're a much lower level, but, not a problem at all. Now, what I would suggest is blowing up the sniper tower at the back. Save at least one barrage, because you can hit that with barrage. Even if it doesn't take out the sniper tower, that's okay. Really what you're trying to do is clear up all the mines and do some damage to the sniper tower, and then whatever's left over is just kind of bonus bucks, if you would. So you'll be able to take out stage 3 really easy. Obviously I threw some critters down to blow things up, but if you drop your tanks down in that bottom corner, nothing's gonna hit you, nothing's gonna hurt you, you're gonna get a nice easy win. Stage 4, the boom cannon gots to go. That's pretty straightforward. And aside from the boom cannon, I would suggest throwing a barrage right where I flared, because as much of a drunken fool as I am, I'm not drunk or anything, but as much of a drunken fool as I am, I decided to flare onto the sniper tower, and yeah, had to correct it, and then I was like, oh, I gotta get the machine gun, I might as well just flare onto the machine gun and kill it. And, things kind of went crazy. The good news is we're able to get through all that craziness and pull it off. Just don't try my special flare technique yourself, because it may not work. It's a super secret strategy that you weren't supposed to see. Yes, that's it. Yes. With obviously the cannon and the mortar and everything, the rocket launcher, one shock takes out all those defenses, and your tanks will be able to set up shop here, blowing things up. The one sniper tower left over on the right hand side won't be able to hit you, so don't worry about it. Unless you have a lot more tanks, in which case it might bleed over and get hit. But then hopefully if you've got that many tanks, you're not going to have to worry about having to sit there very long. Okay, now stage 5 is where things start getting really amped up. As you can see, there are 2 boom cannons and a shock launcher all right next to each other, right up beside the HQ. Along with just an absolute mountain of sniper towers, like a freaky deaky amount of sniper towers. So throw whatever GBE you can to blow up the 2 boom cannons and the the 2 boom cannons and the shock launcher. And if you can, target the shock launcher with your barrages. Use the artilleries bridged between the shock launcher and the boom cannon, and spread it out as much as possible, because you're gonna need your GBE when you get further along. As you can see, I started throwing shocks. One shock can hit a couple of sniper towers and the cannon, which is very important, because you're not going to want to let that cannon have too much time alone with your tanks, because you'll end up with a pregnant tank. Well, okay, maybe it won't be pregnant, but it'll certainly get knocked up. So once you kind of clear out that wall of sniper towers, go over to the right, let your tanks slowly work their way in towards the HQ, and you might have 1 or 2 that go astray, kind of like I did. But what they're going to do is actually just kill the stuff that's remaining in range, like the things that can actually shoot you. So in the grand scheme of things, your tanks will take a little bit of less damage after they finish up, and it all kind of works out. Everybody can go home happy with fat loot in their pockets from stage 5, and then we can move on to stage 6. Now, stage 6 is taking it up yet another notch. There are 250,000 boom cannons and about 94 billion shock launchers. It's so crazy that while I was recording this, I was kind of recording along, just doing my thing, and I finished this level, and I shut everything down, I put it all aside, because I was like, I'm done. I just recorded 7. It wasn't 7 though, it was 6. It was this 6. But it was so intense, I was like, holy crow. I really thought 6 was 7. Now, that said, it's totally doable. Like, you don't have to worry about it being really crazy or scary. You are definitely going to have to spread out your artilleries and barrages to really maximize the, I guess, input you're going to, or output that you're going to get from them. And you're also going to have to be careful of those 2 boom cannons on the right hand side as you land. And as you see, they got one of my medics. I was not paying close enough attention. And that's my fault, not the medic's fault. So while you're going up the right hand side, you're able to gather up just a bucket full of GBE, which is very important. Also, what's really nice is you don't have to throw any shocks. You don't have to do a lot of maintenance, upkeep, or anything like that to kind of keep the attack going until you hit the 3 cannons that are all really nice and close together. And you're going to want to throw a shock down on them because they hit pretty hard. And while your tanks are going through and doing all this stuff, you can just kind of coast up and start blowing up the shock launcher that's just on the other side of the HQ, along with the sniper towers. And the sniper towers aren't even really that important if, say, Barrage is what you have to use to take everything down, because your Barrage or your artillery is way more expensive, and, you know, your Barrage is the better GBE choice, if you would. So if you can't take down the sniper towers, it just means that you might take a few extra shots from those, but you'll be able to take down the HQ either way. Whew. Alright. Yeah, I know, like, 6 was intense. I don't even know how to explain it. So we'll move on to 7, which, 7 is not that bad. It at least compared to the 6. Don't get me wrong, it was tough, and it definitely takes some effort, but instead of blowing up 73 boom cannons and 24 shock launchers, it's 1 boom cannon and 1 shock launcher. And yes, it takes a little bit extra GBE because, well, obviously things have more hit points, but in the grand scheme of things, not too horrible. So obviously at least 1 barrage on each one, just to clear out the mines that are around them, and then a couple of artilleries each will take them down. Hopefully take them down. It'll happen, I promise, I promise. There we go. And then let your tanks coast up the right hand side. Just kind of take the curve. Eventually you're going to end up directly in front of all of these crazy sniper towers and cannons and insane things. This is where the critters are going to start having it. Start throwing your critters up towards the top. You can put them in the safe zone of the rocket launcher. It'll help keep them alive a little bit longer, and it'll completely distract the sniper towers and cannon and everything. The rocket launchers behind the base will be dorks and, you know, blow up your critters, but if you throw a pack, you let those rocket launchers start firing. As they're firing, you throw another pack. By the time they're done firing and killing the first batch, the second batch of critters is already landing, and it'll keep everything off of your tanks really fantastically. Now, on the bottom side of that, on the south end, if you would, that's where I started tossing the shocks, because you got a lot more flamethrowers and machine guns and stuff down there that will just absolutely ruin your critters. So it's kind of like splitting between the two to keep the cost of each one a little bit lower, giving your tanks more time to just sweep through and blow everything up just grind it into the ground. Anyways, as you can see, eventually you're going to end up here. Of course, you're going to have YOLO Tank pull way up ahead and start getting shot at by all of the snipers for absolutely no reason. So I just started throwing medkits because I was like, well, if you're going to be a dink about it, you kind of deserve what you get, YOLO Tank. The good news is all the medics were finally like, hey guys, let's go party over here, and they were able to keep them standing, but YOLO Tank. Anyways, guys, thank you very much for watching. Hopefully this has been helpful. Hopefully this has been entertaining, and above all else, hopefully you guys have a fantastic day.